Danny Flexon here for Seconds Out, solving a mystery, hopefully. And Romeo, wherefore art thou, Romeo, has been called on various social media platforms for quite some time. Romeo Romaeo, after 10 fights, unbeaten, seemed to disappear from the scene in March 2016, I think was your last fight. 2 years, 2.5 years, nearly 3 years ago, in fact, now. But let's take you back a bit before we talk about where you've been and everything else. Let's make people wait for the payoff, as is always best. Yeah. Just tell us, first of all, you turned pro at a very, very young age. What was the motivation behind that? Why didn't you stay amateur for longer?
At the end of the day, at a very young age, I've always wanted to become a professional boxer, world champion. I've always watched the likes of like Sugar Leonard, Marvin Hagler, and Thomas Hearns, and I've always admired them fighters and Mike Tyson growing up, and I've always wanted to be like them. Prince Nassim Ahmed, they inspired me to become, wanting to become a world champion boxer, and from such a young age, I had to go through the amateur stages to learn how to fight, do what I can in the amateur game, win as many titles as I can, and then once I got to that right age, I think just a couple of months before I turned 18, I then signed a deal to then turn professional. That's what I wanted. Otherwise, I think I would have to stay on for a couple more years for the Olympics. I was in the GB squad team. But due to unforeseen circumstances, that wasn't really the way I was going, just more the professional game I was interested in.
Do you think your style was perhaps more suited to the professional game? Is that one of the reasons why you turned over earlier?
Yes, absolutely. My style is very unorthodox, very unusual, and I kind of, like I said, growing up watching different fighters, I kind of adapted different styles into my style, taken different things and different combinations of what I thought would have been handy to have, and I kind of drove that into me. So I wasn't into that basic upright dancing on toes and keeping things long. I wanted to also mix up, change my stance. From a young age, my father knew I was right-handed. I was born right-handed. But from a young age, he tied my right hand up when I was a baby, stopped me from using the right hand so I can start picking things up, using my left. As cruel as it may sound, but it worked. Because now I can write my right hand, write my left. I can do what I want either way. And when I'm in boxing, it's beneficial because when your opponent kind of gets used to you with your one side and all of a sudden you switch, they're thinking, okay, this is different. You always got to keep your opponent thinking, I'm not to let your opponent work you out. And I try to adapt as many styles as I can just to keep that going, if you know what I'm saying.
Just before we move on from this part, did your dad have boxing in mind when he did that when you were a child?
Yeah.
Or was it just to make you equally adept with both hands generally? He knew he's going to turn me into a boxer. Boxing's always been a love of his. So I kind of grew up not knowing any different. I was going to be a fighter, simple as. So he knew my downfall was my height, because my mum's short, my dad's short. I'm bound to be small too. So for my structure, I'm going to be a very small, compact kind of person, but like Mike Tyson. Mike Tyson was small for the heavyweight division. I'm small for my division. So he knew that was going to be my downfall. So he needed to think of something which was going to give me the edge. So he thought by giving me the gift of using my left and my right, and also my strength from such a young age, having to lift up logs and everything, that'll be my way of going forward. Without getting into too much detail, and obviously anything you're not comfortable with, that's fine. Some observers who don't know the situation will look at that and say, it seems a bit cruel that you were never given a choice of what you were going to do in the future, and that you were subjected to quite tough training at quite a young age. What would you say about that?
To be fair, at the end of the day, I wouldn't be the person I am now if it wasn't for everything I've been put through. I'm very thankful for everything my father put me through, the training. It's made me a tough person, and like lifting logs, living in the forest, growing up from the age of 12 up until 17 before I turned pro. It's been tough. It's really tough. You won't see any other kid doing that kind of stuff. But to me, as a young boy, that was a dream. It was a dream to actually go out. I thought it was like camping, hunting, and all that kind of stuff. I enjoyed it. And then growing up, I knew no different. It was natural. It was part of me, and I enjoyed being around nature. And then lifting logs and everything was just something extra to give me the power that I have now.
You drew quite a lot of criticism for someone so early in their pro career, some of which seems very unfair, even in hindsight. You came onto the scene with quite a flashy style, big muscles, deep tan at times, and people seem to enjoy kind of criticising you, poking fun at you. When you look back at it now, and you seem like a very pleasant guy, what do you think was behind the level of vitriol you seem to generate?
To be fair, I really don't know. At the end of the day, it's just, I just want to become a world champion, and I have an unusual style, and I admit that. I have an unusual style, and I'm someone that no one's kind of seen before, having a weird upbringing. To them, it's a weird upbringing, but to me, I enjoyed it. And everyone's always got to criticize about something if something doesn't seem right. And everyone's got their own opinion, but I take on the chin, and at the end of the day, I'm happy with who I am now, and I admire that. I admire all the criticism I get. So I take it with a pinch of salt and just keep moving forward to my goal, my dreams, to become world champ, and that's it.
Just before you vanished from the scene a couple of years ago, you withdrew from a scheduled headline fight with Matty Fagan because, from what we heard, you couldn't make weight at the time. Just tell us a little bit about the background behind that and why you eventually had to pull out of the fight.
Okay, well, that is definitely not true. At the times, I was still going through some tough, difficult times with the family, hence why I had the 2.5, almost 3 year break. I thought I can come back into the sport early. I wasn't ready. There was still a lot going on behind closed doors, and mentally myself, I wasn't stable. I wasn't a stable guy, and I needed a break, and I just thought I can come back early, and it didn't happen.
We'll talk a bit about the challenges you've had, but just first of all, tell us what you spent most of your time out of the ring doing. There's been so many rumours about you. You know, one of them that you were playing semi-professional rugby, I believe, and there were some other bits and pieces out there that you switched to other sports. Just tell us what you spent the majority of the last 2.5 years doing.
Well, during my break, I didn't want nothing to do with boxing. I needed a complete break from it.
How long had you been boxing for? Since what age?
I've been training for boxing since the age of 4.
Wow.
I've been fighting since the age of 10, and definitely time for a break. And emotionally and physically, I couldn't do it no more. And a lot of people say it's because he's been burnt out, he's been doing weights at such a young age, blah blah blah. But I strongly disagree. It's not because I was burnt out or anything. It's just because I was going through a tough time and I couldn't do it. So what did you spend the majority of that 2.5 years up to? The majority of the time was I was still doing I knew I was going to come back into the boxing, but so I kept myself fit. Always trained down the local park, went out running for several miles. Also, I got involved in another sport at my hometown, Thornbury. I got involved being a rugby player as a winger.
So that part was true.
That was true. That's very true. Yeah, but I know it's not something I was going to stay at, or I didn't believe I was any good at, because I didn't train at such a young age for it. So I was never going to be good at it. But it was just something to keep my mind occupied, because just training wasn't doing enough for me. Where I was training for a fight, that pushed me. Where I was training for nothing, I wanted to do something different whilst I'm out of boxing. So I thought...
So it was kind of the right amount of pressure, not too much and not too little.
Not too little. So when I was playing rugby, knew I had a game on a Sunday, training for that, going down the park, practice my sprinting and different footwork drills. Perfect. And yeah, it kept me busy. And then it then came about, like, I came to find out that I actually missed boxing, that I loved the sport, and what am I doing being away from it for this long? I think it's now time to get back into it and become what I want to become always.
Is there a sense now that you're pursuing this boxing dream purely for yourself, whereas in the past maybe it was for other people?
I'll say it's more of a 50-50 thing. We were with other people. It was a bit of both, really. With before, it was a bit of both, where I was doing it for myself, but also doing it for other people. But now, I've got the love and the passion to be doing it just for me, and to fight now. I am so hungry. Whereas before, I thought, oh, it's another day, just to go out there, do what I got to do. I didn't wasn't really looking forward to it. I wasn't buzzing from it. I knew I could win. I was confident I was going to win all the time. But I was like, right, go in, do my job, get back out, train again. It's routine. But now, being away from people, I now feel that I can do this. I can do it now, just for the love I have for myself.
And this is the first time, certainly in your boxing career, that your father hasn't been at the forefront as he has in the past. He first got you into the sport, looked after you as an amateur, and also as a pro, he was always on the periphery. Yeah. Are there kind of pros and cons to him not being involved any longer? The pros being that you've got a bit more freedom, you can form a closer bond with your trainer. Yeah. The cons being that he's been someone so important to your background and your foundations in the sport.
You know, at the end of the day, what's happened's happened, and maybe one day that we can chat again. But that's about it. I just got to concentrate on my boxing now, and absolutely, like, getting that really tight bond with my trainer now, and get on with the training. That's what's most important right now.
What are the next steps you need to take to be able to make that comeback fight? Do you need to reapply for your license? Where are you on all that?
Right now, got to reapply for my license. Right now, I'm just ticking over. I'm in the gym, ticking over. When I know I'm ready, just got a few things to sort out, get them things done and dusted, and then move on from there. We get our license, and then in mind, we know where we're going, and then just let's get fighting. Hopefully, I can fight at the end of the year. Hopefully.
What weight do you intend to compete at?
Whereas before I was fighting at lightweight, like welter, I was kind of big. Now I've kind of reduced my muscle size.
Evidently, you do look. I said to you earlier off camera, you do look like you now have a boxer's physique rather than a bodybuilder's physique.
Thank you. Yes. So I am now going to be fighting at how I started out, super feather. I'm staying as that until I've got my world championship belt.
Well, given your height, that's got to be a big boost for you that you'll now be fighting guys of a more similar in stature.
It's like when I was fighting people at lightweight and light welter, their height difference to me, it's like a lot of my, well, I think there's like two of my opponents where I literally had to look up to and trying to, now for my height I got quite long arms for my weight, and then it's just trying to, they got obviously a lot longer arms than me being the height they were, and it's just trying to then, I had to do like a bit of Mike Tyson, just get under there and throw the shots from in close, but it's not the kind of person I am. I didn't want to be doing it all the time, so I want to be feeling comfortable. Not that I wasn't comfortable fighting taller people, but I want to be in there like changing things up instead of having to chase all the time. So yeah, it's a lot better now.
Apart from the weight itself and the division you'll be fighting in, what will be different about the Romeo Romaeo we see boxing in this second chapter compared to the first time round?
You know what? I'm a lot more calmer, more humble. I like to say that I'm not so wild and artistic like I was. Yes, I still got my movement. I still got my fast hands and everything. I still got my footwork. But when it comes to showboating and the silly things I was doing in the ring, I kind of realized that that's not as great as it's not what really needs to be seen. I still do my backflip over the rope when I enter. Tried to master that now. And I still do my somersaults at the end of the fight. But you'll be seeing a lot more quicker hands, quicker footwork, in and out, and then I'll switch it when I want to. But you'll see me being more focused in what I want to achieve now than thinking it's all just a joke.
Is it fair to say, and I know this is a cliche, but you've gone from a boy to a man in the last couple of years, that time out and also, not having your father backing you up at every step, having to kind of do things for yourself, has matured you?
I believe so. But then that just goes with age as well. I'm getting older and having that time out. I think I left it when I just turned 20, 22, almost 23 in November. And,
a couple of weeks, isn't it, your birthday?
A couple of weeks. Can't wait. 6th of November is my birthday. So now I'm 23 then, and it's that age when you start maturing, you're starting to know your own mind, and yeah. So I'm not gonna blame anyone else or anything else. It's just down to the age and just maturing as a person, being a better person than what I was before.
And just before we let you go, I think a lot of people watching this will be converted into being Romeo Romaeo fans. How do they go about following you on the various social media platforms?
So I've got Instagram, so
probably best to spell your surname as well.
Yes, 100%. So my Instagram, I'm always on my Instagram. It's _ Romeo Romaeo. So that's _ ROMEO. So glad, because a lot of people get confused. Like a lot of people spell it like ERO and they switch around EAO. But yes, AEO.
Brilliant. Well, everyone get behind you, and I guess the message is Romeo, not done.
Not done. Not done.
Not by a long chalk.
I like that.
Yeah, I'm glad. I wasn't sure. Yeah.